welcome to another episode. Hey, I like your hat, Jeff. Like your hat.
Xander Scrabble's back. Welcome.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Indie Credible Podcast. I'm Xander Scully, and I'm joined with a very busy man named Jeff.
G.I. Jose himself.
That is pretty awesome.
Hey, I'm out in El Paso. It's G.I. Jose is a little off-post place over here. It's cool. Yeah, a little bit busy this week. It's when it rains, it pours, and it's a good thing. It's a good busy.
It's a good shower. It's like a much it's like a much needed, rainstorm.
Yeah. Well, and I'll show off a couple of the stuff today. There's one that's an Indie Credible exclusive before I show it off on Patreon, before I showed it off on HagensAlley.com, anything. But before we get to the super surprise, I did get in today a palette of the Metroidvania Chronicles.
Oh, that's nice.
So this is phase 2, second volume of the Metroidvania Chronicles. It's about almost 200 pages of Metroidvania goodness. This is the book. This was the limited edition slipcase. And I did a Kickstarter post to backers saying, hey, if you want to upgrade to the limited slipcase, I'm personally mailing them out and I will sign it for you. All you got to do is add the difference on whatever you ordered and I will sign it, not charge it for signatures. And then this, we're talking Indie Credible. Like, these are all like classics, and a lot of these are indie games in here. I mean, you open it up and, there's a cool green bookmark in it. Got the classic green on the side. You open it up and it's Sidney Hunter, Curse of the Mind.
Oh, yeah.
It's a classic, and that's in the unconventional, non-traditional Metroidvanias, because I cover all types. Because Metroidvania is a genre, but then there's ones that like push the envelope, and if you weren't tracking, Sidney Hunter is not a traditional Metroidvania. It actually does level by level at a hub world, kind of like a Mega Man. And then you get different abilities. You can go back to some of those worlds, back to the biomes, as you would say. But it's not a traditional open world, so it's unconventional. And I love covering all the unconventionals. And the best thing is, so I released this book in 2024, and due to it was stuck in like the ports or something, it's now being released in 2025. But the in the works section is always fun because I cover games and they're released. And so some of these we actually have covered on the show or would cover later. But of course, Hollow Knight Silk Song, still not out. But like A Sister's Journey on Metroidvania, that is actually out on Steam now. So like that one's out. Crowsworn, I think, is still in beta. I don't think that one has come out yet. Like Tozoia or Tozoha Knight, Order of the Alchemists. I'm pretty sure that is out now. That one is a beautiful Metroidvania. So, I mean, there's just so many cool things. And when people are ready for volume 3, I will do a volume 3. I do know I did this initially as a bookazine because these are like smaller form books. They're nice little books. But because people want the awesome limited editions and everything, they're like, please slow down, sir. Please slow down. Yeah. Like, so, because I do cool stuff and they wanted all the coolest things that I do. So, volume 3 will likely be a beast because I'm just going to continue to add content to it as I'm creating our Indie Gaming Gems book.
Well, Jeff, I was going to ask you, like, do you have a preference Metroidvania? Like, do you have because you're mentioning, like Sidney Hunter, like it's more of a hub world. That's the kind of Metroidvanias I like. I like kind of like the level base because it gives me a sense of progression. I mean, other than like the progression is like getting new abilities, like you said, going through the biomes.
That's ability gating. Yeah, that's one of the key factors of a Metroidvania.
Yeah, and I mean that's a go-to, but I do like it when it's level based in the sense that I like, because sometimes I get lost in some of these Metroidvanias, man. I'm running around and I'm like, I know I'm supposed to get some sort of new power up, but I cannot find it and I cannot progress, and I'll get frustrated. So some games like what I remember we mentioned it in a previous episode, the Galgun, like the Demon Purge, that game. Well, would you say that's a Metroidvania, or is it's more level based, right? That's more of a level based.
So Galgun's more traditional Castlevania.
Yes, I love that game.
Castlevania inspired. So action platformers is basically it. The Metroidvania style is the exploration. So and I had on Video Game Bullshit interviewed the Metroidvania guru. He says the Metroidvanias they do like their heavy exploration, but because there's so many now, people have taken inspiration from so many different games. There's ones that are heavy on combat. There's ones that are heavy on ability gating. There's ones that are heavy on exploration and hunting down and just getting lost in the world. The thing is, and I'm kind of with you on this, is that there's so many games out there, and I mean, the hell, this podcast is proof of it, that it's just like sometimes like getting lost in a game isn't as great as I would like it to be because I got 27,000 other games that I would like to play. And I can't just take a traditional Metroidvania, especially a really good one, and put it down and then pop right back up into it because I'm going to forget like how to traverse through the biomes and have to relearn them. And so like it's either I get so engrossed, like Turbo Kid, for example, got so engrossed in that game that I played the hell out of it, played the whole thing. That either happens, or I take like a multi-year break like I did with Hollow Knight and then pop back in and then get obsessed and finish her out. But then I completely forgot everything and relearned it, but then something clicks. Yeah, that's how Metroidvanias are. But when you asked about a go-to Metroidvania, I mean, I'm doing that shit like I do my retros. I go to the Super Metroid, the Symphony of the Nights, and it's like comfort food, and that's the shit I know. But you talk about, like I mentioned, video game bullshit. When we played Rondo of Blood in 2017 on video game bullshit, like, 2017, that's a long fucking time ago. But like that game just like made that action platformer like to the next level. And if I'm comparing Symphony of the Night to Rondo, it just depends on the mood whether which one's better.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, yeah, Rondo of Blood, that's like one of my favorite Vanias of all time. So I like the fact that there's like multiple levels. Yeah.
Castlevania, because it's not a Metroidvania.
Yeah,
it is a Castlevania. It is absolutely a traditional. But yeah, I mean the thing is like even a lot of the Iga Vanias that are on the Game Boy Advance and the DS, I really only played Order of Ecclesia, which is like one of the last ones. All the rest I've like played them, but haven't beaten them. It's wild. Because I mean, it's my eternal backlog curse of playing a game for 15 minutes, playing it for an hour, and put it aside. The one that was the hardest one was Circle of the Moon because I got that sucker at launch with the original purple GBA, and you couldn't see shit. And I got it at launch, which means I didn't have the backlight or any of the stuff because the original Game Boy Advance wasn't a backlit screen, and so it's hard to view like the actual screen that's going on without like direct sunlight like the original Game Boy. And so, I eventually got a light for it, but by that time I think I was playing something else at that point. But it's like but playing it with like emulation with a LED or LCD screen is great. Like those games are awesome. And like I really need to go back and like knock out a lot of the classic backlog Metroidvanias. But on the other side, we have a whole podcast of amazing games that we're highlighting that I would also love to play. And this week, not a great track record for some of the games I played for like going to my backlog, but they were still fun. But I still have other treats to show, and I alluded to something that I haven't even shown off online that I was saving for our podcast on this episode.
Right.
Which by the time this airs, it'll probably be shown off online. But here's something that I got in Xander in the mail.
Oh yeah.
The complete Genesis advanced copy showed up. And so this is the slipcase with Sega Genesis characters all over it by Thor Thorvaldsen. And then this is the book. Now, when I said other one's a mini book, like look at the Metroidvania Chronicles compared. Like this is textbook size, same size as the complete SNES, the complete NES definitives. Like this is your definitive Sega Genesis book, 400 pages of Sega goodness, like every single freaking game and all the write-ups. I did not do a bridge. I wrote on every single game, went down the rabbit hole. Even games like, have you heard of ZPF? That was just on Kickstarter and got funded.
No.
Yeah, game ZPF by MegaCast Studios. Shoot 'em up. That was just released. It is on here. I write 2020X, classic Mega Man stuff. I write that on there when it hasn't been released. But I did a whole section on select homebrew games in here, like the best of the best. Because like back in the day, I did that NES Oddities book where with the help of like the Nintendo Age forums, was able to make like the definitive NES homebrew list up to that point that was released. It's like right before NES Maker came out. And now I do the highlights and like check out this glossy, shiny, even on the spine. Like you got Sonic on the back and he's shiny, where the rest of it is soft touch vinyl. This is like soft touch vinyl on the back and on the front. There's a red bookmark ribbon in here and sewn in. You got crazy artwork throughout. Power up, like classics. That's so much awesomeness of Sega Genesis. And then some of my favorite parts in the back where you have personal stories from people. Like this one, this was by Kevin Kill from old video game bullshit fame from the first year, talking about his Road Rash 2 revelation, going to Box Office Video, and he shared the picture of Box Office Video. Like when he got his Road Rash 2 copy. Like I did a whole book on compendium stories, and that book was tough to sell because like it's literally just people's personal stories on like the Nintendo.
Yeah, I did an article on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those books were cool. But I'm like, I'm just gonna add this shit to the actual complete Genesis. So now the Genesis is truly complete because not only do you have every single region, because the first Nintendo book was just licensed, and then I did oddities of all this stuff, and then a compendium. So I had 3 books. All 3 are in this Genesis book. Like this stuff is wild. Like this is a big beast, heavy honker too. This is like that's like the first time I've shown that off. I haven't even taken pictures of it, shown anyone, because like I actually got a special complete SNES dust jacket that I did a video on my YouTube channel that I showed off, and that's done with Saru Maru. And if all goes well, I can get out to Game On Expo, we might do a like limited release with Saru, signed copies and shit. But I gotta assemble them all and do all that. So like 3-4 books. Like my garage is like fucking full of books right now. It's crazy. It's crazy. When it rains, it pours, man. Dizzy as hell. But the thing is though, like people have been waiting on this Metroidvania, so that's my first priority is like people need to get their books. And so I'm hand mailing all the limiteds. And if anybody upgrades their standard to a limited, I'm gonna mail them to them. And then all the rest show up at the warehouse. Those go out to backers too. So I'm going to be busy doing surveys and asking questions. And then the other piece is I have these patches for the Metroidvania Chronicles. So when people get their books, all they do is share it, link the website, and I will mail them a patch for free on the Metroidvania Chronicles. I even have phase 1 patches too, so they can do those tolls out. Just have fun to have people show off their stuff. And then I'll mail them a patch, and it helps show more people the website and fun stuff.
Yeah, and like I've said before, man, I've always liked your releases because the packaging is always top notch. I got a couple of books, some books I contribute to in the past, and some of them that I just got because I'm just like, man, you're gonna get something really really special. It's not just oh, here's a book. I mean, this has like a slip cover, and I mean. It's gonna be wild, and folks can get all these updates. Folks can get all these updates on Jeff's Patreon. That's free to join. It's the best place to find the podcast, video game bullshit, and whatever you're working on, man. I can't recommend it enough.
Dude. And that's the thing, all the indie stuff. And speaking of indie stuff, I have began working this last week before the chaos of book arrivals happened. I started writing the Indie Gaming Gems book. And so I have about 20 reviews written. And so it's going to be the top 100 or like 100 indie games you need to play. And I'm going to focus each book on about 100. The thing is, though, it's not like it's a tiny little like in the Genesis book where they're in thirds. It's more like the Metroidvania where I got a 2-page write-up and then I'm doing a giant spread so you can see the awesome artwork in the game with like a little bit of the data. So like, for example, if I'm talking about Questmaster, right, I'd have a 2-page, like the beginning would show a Questmaster screenshot of one of the dungeons. It'll say Questmaster, who developed it and when it was released. Then the next page, I do a in-depth review. And I've been starting to add like, because everybody that listens to us, a lot of people that buy our stuff is our ilk, our type of people. So I'm starting to put in my own comparisons of like, all right, this game feels like this. So I'd be like, this game feels like Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, because Questmaster does. So I'm putting that kind of stuff in there too, and not just keeping it general and trying to personalize stuff a little bit more too, while not driving myself nuts writing 100 reviews on awesome games. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it comes to a point where you just gotta have to kind of have some sort of limit because you don't want to burn yourself out. That's the main thing. And I know you're probably like me and like many others. Like when I get into something, I go like head first into it, and I become like OCD with it. And then before I know it, I like get really burned out, and it's just hard for me to get back into it. Like I lose steam. So like, yeah, I've learned over the years to kind of give myself limits to some degree.
well, so the books are good because I don't get burnt out ever doing the books. It's more like I work on a few projects at the same time. So I mean, I've been working on the Switch Collector Year 3 for a couple years now. Because like that one I got burnt out on, so I had like paused it. But I didn't take it to Kickstarter. So like once they go to Kickstarter, like Metroidvania Vine 2 or the Complete Genesis, those books are already done, and then I take them to Kickstarter. So then I'm just like putting the finishing touches on stuff. Such as a damn stretch goal to do the complete Sega CD and 32X for
That's
which it's done. It's submitted. It's submitted to the printers. I'm getting quotes right now. So like that book is done and it's going out for free. Like, so hopefully by the time the Genesis books arrive, because this is the advanced copy, when the actual Genesis book arrives, like the Metroidvania just did, I should have those free books too, and I can just like ship them. But yeah, but so I'm working on the Switch Collector Year 3 is been on the back burner, but I'm still working on it. Thumbs up from the video. But also like besides for that, the Indie Gaming Gems book, which I've been working on, and I'm doing TurboGrafx 16 after Genesis. And so and because I like doing the complete series and I'm still collecting Turbo games.
Yeah.
So I love it. And besides, you mentioned video game bullshit, we did start up a game collecting podcast where anybody can come on, yourself included, and we just shoot the shit about what the hell we're collecting nowadays, which is fun because that goes on the old Switch Mania Playcast podcast, because that was just a collector's podcast. So we're doing that like it's like once a month we'll do that. Once a month we'll do some video game bullshit. Whereas Indie Credible, man, every week we got crazy shit to talk, bro.
We got a lot of crazy shit to talk about this episode.
And you mentioned one last thing before we transition to what we've been playing. Actually, till we talked about a community member. But my Indie Gaming Gems channel. So I posted in Patreon. You mentioned not getting burnt out. So I have been struggling to get to editing audio because I'm working on books and doing other things. And I'm like, I looked back at Indie Gaming Gems and I'm like, man, basically I'm just throwing 10 games out on a freaking dartboard and picking some games to cover every week. And it's starting to be a little unfocused for me. So I'm like, I was actually talking through it with you in like a chat or something. And I'm like, how do I slow it down, but still make it fun and then not burn myself out? Well, so I can work on the Indie Gaming Gems book. And so I was like, well, what if I do the top 10 games that indie games from January of 2025, February 2025. So I was like, that way I'm not doing every week I got to knock it out. It's more like because we already get all the games for the podcast. I'm already gathering all the games, and I just like kind of pick my favorites that I found from the month. Not that were released, that we found and played from the month. And then I'll do that. And then on top of it, then it gives me openings to do stuff like I had launched the top 10 community picks, which I just had an episode of one of those go live. So then I can sprinkle those in when they mention it, or like the deals episode. Like I had one where there was crazy ass deals and top 10 games for sale. So like those little fun gimmick episodes. So everything will be focused, and it's going to be like once a month I will do an indie gaming gems like proper. And then there'll be like little gimmick episodes throughout when I have time. And then if I'm working on books, I don't have to like pull myself out of it to do all the audio editing.
Yeah. Yeah, and then also I think like the format that you have it that's like every month is like the month of like little bit of games. I think that's a great idea because you don't want to go too much in the category side of it and be like, survival likes, Metroidvanias, because then that requires more work because you'll have to go and through more games and like yeah, you want to keep it streamlined because it's a fun series. I love it.
Well, and the best part about doing the top games from January is games that we're covering here will make it in there. And by us talking about them, it may add it to the list even more so for the month because I'm like, hey, no, freaking Xander and I talked about this game. That is definitely in my top 10 for the month. And so it actually is going to feed better into what we're doing with the podcast too. So it's like a win-win, like double, triple win. It's fun as shit. And I was realizing I would get a super long backlog of games just trying to cover 10 games of every cool ass game I found. And I think like the last indie gaming gems that I did before this community pick where I moved to the monthly format, I think it was 2 months back, 3 months back of me finding it. Like I don't know if I covered Questmaster on indie gaming gems yet. And we talked about it months ago on the podcast. Like that's where I'm like, that's a problem. Like I'd rather cover and Questmaster, UFO 50, the classics that we've covered are going in the book. So that's the other piece is now I got to dial in the book a little because I realized I was already, I think 300 games in my list for any gaming gems. And I'm doing top 100 games in the book, which is going to take me a while to make. So I'm like, I was getting way too like all over the place. Whereas I just want everything to kind of line up, have fun with it, cool shit, move on. And if people give us a community pick of something, like I'm not going in numerical order. I could play a game from 2007 that's an indie game, and we could talk about it on the podcast. It's not like talk about the newest stuff. We're talking about new to us, fun stuff that we find. So that's what I love about this format.
Yeah, and that's what I love too because I can't keep up with like current gaming anyway. It's going so fast, and like modern side, yeah, the AAA stuff is going fast right now. But then you got indies, and it's like every other week something's coming out, something's happening.
Every week, every day,
you know.
But like it was like so for the game collector, the collecting podcast, I was trying to do like the Switch Mania, like talking about the limited Switch releases like we used to. In 2 days, Limited Run had 14 releases. 2 days. I got to do the whole month. I'm like, so I'm just gonna cover a slew of them, and I'm gonna cover what we cover. Like there's too many games to make it fun. Yeah, to me, that doesn't even make the collecting fun as I'm mumbling over that because it's so crazy. It's like, because I got stacks of Switch games over here that I haven't gotten to, and I've stopped collecting Switch hard because when we were doing the podcast back in the day, like I was collecting hard. I was going hard in the paint, like getting all the games, and now it's like, dude, I'm buying one game every month or so. Like I just got the Donkey Kong Country game, which SD I love that stuff. But
That's your game.
But I'm not going to like GameStop. I'm not going to all the websites and going, all right, we go to all these sites and pre-order all the games and do all the things. And it's like, it's just that it became way too much. But the best part about being a collector, Xander, you can always go to flea markets later. And that thrill of the hunt was my favorite shit growing up. So I decided like years back that I was gonna be like, all right, so I'm gonna get like those top ones that I want to play at the time now. Anything that like when Pepper Grinder came out, which is a badass indie game, when that came out on Switch, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna buy that thing. But everything else, I will just wait. And then later on, I'll either have to pay out the ass because it's expensive, because it's rare. Switch shit's printed low, or I find it as a deal somewhere, or I have an experience at a convention having fun. Like it's so I don't want to rob myself of potentially hunting down and having a good time later, especially if I decide to make a collector's book out of it and make it an adventure or something, because I am crazy. So like so like that's the wild thing. So the thing is there's so many indie games too that it's like just us playing stuff, there's not enough time.
I'm just imagining, 30 years from now, you're like, so I'm working on the Nintendo Switch Collector's Book, Volume 2.
No, I already got 2 released, brother. I'm working on 3 right now. Now I got to do 4.
Oh my lord!
You got to realize this thing is because I released Volume 1, and that was an April Fool's joke that went bad. I said, I'm going to do the complete Switch, and then everybody wanted it. So I'm like, well, I can do year 1, and year 1 that's 500 pages or whatever. And then I did year 2, part 1, which was bigger than volume 1, just the first half of year 2. And I'm like, all right, I got to slow this shit down. So I did an abridged part 2 where I didn't write up. And then people were like, oh, that's pretty cool. But like, I could tell. So I'm adding little taglines in year 3. So it's not write-ups. Like it's still streamlined. It's all collecting stuff. But year 3 has taglines and everything. The problem is I've reformatted the book like 2 or 3 times. So I had to redo the book a few times. Every time I reformat it, I had to reformat hundreds of pages. So I'm finishing up year 3. And once I finish it up, it's going to go to Kickstarter. That's one of my most popular series. So it's like I would like to finish it because people watch the books. But on the other side, like it's like, man, there's just so many. And that's year 3. What are we in year 8 right now?
And the thing about it is I was just about to say that, the first like maybe 3.5 years of the Switch, like before 2020, like it was kind of realistic. It was kind of realistic. Like I can do this, but man, once 2020 hit, or even a little bit beforehand,
Year,
where it's like,
year 3 is when the limited publishers came out of the woodwork and started multiple release. Year 2 is when they started. Year 3 is when they came out of the woodwork. And then 4 is like when you're getting to 2020, that's when like premium edition, when I started that and that shit, that's when shit exploded.
yeah.
But the other issue is that not only did I cover Switch US because it's region free, I covered it all. And then there was like a stretch goal that hit in year 1 that was like, all right, I'm gonna cover all the games, which includes the ones you can't understand in Japanese. So I covered all those physicals. And then I also did selected digital indie titles. So there's a whole, these are games I would love to see released physically on the Nintendo Switch. And so there's that whole section, like indie gaming gems, like Indie Credible. That's what started with the Switch collector bullshit years ago.
Because I was about to say, Pizza Titan Ultra. I still want a physical of that.
Yeah, me too. Well, and that's also how I found a robot named Fight, and that didn't have a physical, was going into year 2, and I'm like, how does this Infinite Metroidvania not have a physical? So, and I just so happened at the same time, this was 2020, finishing year 2, part 1, I reached out to him, and was one of my first signings for premium when I started the company back in the day. And it was like indie games, like there's indie developers out there that just don't have the means or have been beaten down by people telling them no so many times that they don't think that their game's going to get a physical. And it's like, now some of these games out there are absolutely worthy. And a lot of them would be great to be able to do a budget version. The problem with Switch is it costs a shit ton of money to make them physical. If only we could do it affordably, like no minimums on Switch. It'd be fucking great. But not yet. Not yet, Xander.
Well, this week, I played one indie game this week, and it was a game that we mentioned in previous episode, actually, episode 16. That was End of Nights, which was like
End of Nights.
yeah, and this was the game that was like the top-down perspective. It looked almost like Vampire Survivors, but it wasn't a survivor like. It was the hack and slash,
Hell
which is
yeah.
brutal. It is fun. It is fun. It's a little slow, but I think it's because like you start slow and you progressively start moving faster. I think because there is some action RPG elements, some things that you can like upgrade and stuff like that. But it was good. And then what I really like about it is like so you have zones of the level. So you'll go to one level, you'll start mowing down all the bad guys. The wave's over, and there's usually like an obstacle, like a castle you have to like either protect or tear down to progress through. And yeah, I started out as just like a knight, just like a dude with a sword. I hadn't played anymore, but I think there might be some different abilities and classes. But it was pretty good. It was on sale too. I got it for like $6 or something like that.
It's all safe. Dude, that goes in alignment with like the game that I played today. Because I played one game at the end of the day today, and it's called Tormentor X or Cross Punisher. And this game was freaking crazy. I hit randomizer on Steam Deck, and this is when it popped up. This game's like Smash TV, but with shit tons of gore, little like drawn comic book style cartoons where the characters like, let's fucking go, like the cursing and shit, which is hilarious. There's boss fights, and there's so much shit talking when you play. And so it's like Smash TV combined with Binding of Isaac, but I haven't found out if I can upgrade shit yet. So basically, I'm able to get through and up to like the boss. And then like there's this big ass boss, mowed my ass down. But then this little guy comes out and goes, you fucking suck. And he's like doing this. It's like he's like doing this, and now I've put it in my initials because it's arcade style. You're like, oh, the top scores on this machine, and I'm putting in my initials. And after I hit OK for my initials, my character comes up, and I can kick that guy's ass, shoot him with a shotgun in the face, and kill him.
Awesome.
And it's like it didn't start the game. Literally, it's still on the credits. It's like, just you could get him to shut up. And then when I went to the second time, there was like a mold worm style boss for the second. So it was different. So I think there's like roguelike aesthetics in there.
Yeah, I was looking at screenshots and it was making me think of Total Carnage. Like when you mentioned Smash TV, I'm like, oh, Total Carnage. So yeah, it does have all that gory. Even the font has that like that heavy metal Beavis and Butthead kind of font. You know, it looks like it was made, in the mid '90s.
The interesting thing is too is that and this one goes to a little bit of Xenocrisis if you played that on the Sega Genesis, Neo Geo, Dreamcast, the homebrew by Bitmap Bureau. It like as you're shooting, you run out of bullets. And then in order to reload, you shoot a shotgun though. You shoot your shotgun to reload. Yeah. So there's really no like it's just and you stop and then and you can like and you kind of use the double style freaking analogs to maneuver around and shit. So yeah. But that game was excellent. It was top down, just like your game that you were playing. Like it was top down style. Now I've only played a couple runs of it because it was 15 minutes of fame style thing, but I don't know if you can do upgrades and do a bunch of fun shit. I hope you can. That would be pretty dope.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
There was another game that you had on here that I thought looked really, really cool.
All right, which one?
Minit Fun Racer.
Minit Fun. Yeah. So there's a game called Minutes that was released. I want to say it was released by Devolver Digital. Like I could be confused, but that one was like a platformer, I think, or a Zelda. Like it was a game that was released years ago on Switch. So I haven't even played it, but I have it. Like, and it's not even with me. It's like in storage collection. But Minit Fun Racer was awesome because it's like a little bonus game that was released. It's super affordable, but all proceeds went to charity for when you buy the game. And it reminds me of a classic, like cell phone style, like just moving around the game, but it's on with the controller on your Steam. And you're just collecting coins and getting as far as possible. So you just kind of dodge different types of trucks and stuff, and you collect coins and you hit little ramps, and it's just like a side-scrolling little bike style game.
I like the graphic aesthetics too, that black and white kind of look to it. It's really good.
That's how the original Minit is too, but that's like a traditional video game, whereas this is like a bonus game. But the interesting thing is like as you collect coins, like after you get like 10 or 20 or whatever, however many coins, you can increase your timer. Then you increase the timer, you can go a little bit further in the level and then start getting like when you hit a certain item on the screen or trash can, I think you increase you start getting turbos. So then you can kind of maximize your run. And I actually got to a second biome where I was like in the desert on the second one and locked a little thing. And it's like, oh, got to the desert for the first time. And it gives you like tons of coins. And there's a lot of little extra unlockables as you continue to play. Like there was one that gave more coins for levels, and there's other stuff too. So it's got a nice little endorphin rush replayability to it. Don't think it's one that I'm going to be putting in the backlog to go back to complete, but fun as shit to play.
Yeah, sometimes that's all you need. You need that game that you can just pick up and play. It's like, all right, I accomplished something. I did the little objective. I like
exactly.
Yeah,
and then there was a puzzle game that is my palate cleanser that we talked about last time that I couldn't remember the name of it. The puzzle game. It's called Wilmot Works It Out. That's what the game is called. Wilmot Works It Out. And it's literally like you're in a room and you get a knock on the door, you open the door in the house, and your mail carrier's there, and you're part of the puzzle club, and they give you puzzles. And you literally put it down on the ground, and then you can like move it around, you can group them, and you just build these puzzles that turn into paintings that you put on your wall. And super chill. And once you get a puzzle done, and it'll mix like 2 or 3 different puzzles in one like block, and then you got to kind of sort them out and make the puzzles. Once you do a new puzzle, then they knock again, they give you more puzzle pieces, and each like season you'll like fill up your wall, and then you go to another season and start over again. And so I've been doing like a season like every week. I've been knocking out a season, and it's just super chill to just like unload and reset my brain.
Well, it makes me think of those like old computer games that we used to play in like the early 90s, like at school, when they'd had like those games that were fun, but they were also kind of educational in a weird way. That's what it made me think of when I was looking at it. I was getting some memories. I'm like, oh man, it's good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you just drag them all the pieces around, and once you get a piece next to each other, they lock in place. So then that way you don't have to like mess with it, which is nice. Yeah, there's a few of these games that I play. There's some I always do like play Picross a lot. So that's like I'll either play that on my phone or I'll play that on I got a couple Picross games too. That's stuff that I use to like decompress.
Indeed.
Not the last game that I have is not.
This is decompressing for me because I saw the screenshots and I loved Asteroids. I love Asteroids. Is this like an Asteroid Survivors like?
This is like it's really a roguelike as an asteroid, but it's more like a survivor like. But it's not. It's kind of Binding of Isaac. And you kind of jump between levels. So like each level has like a little section. If you've ever played Crypt Custodian, where you jump between the levels, that's that game is kind of a Metroidvania overhead Crypt Custodian, and the controls kind of do that, and then the enemies all have like a little gimmick. The interesting thing is though, is that your first character is the button you press and you do an orbit, and then all the bullets that the characters do get caught in your orbit and you can shoot it back at them. Wow, dope as shit. And then if they get close, you can hack and slash them too. The thing that was weird though is that then I unlocked a second character, looked fucking funky, looked cool as shit. He does like this little thing in front of him. I don't know what the hell it does. Doesn't do the, and as I kept dying, and I'm like, well, I don't know if there's a tutorial on the menu or I have to like Google it, but I mean, who knows what Asterogues is? So I doubt there's a tutorial for it or a video on it. But I'm like, I don't know what the hell this character does. I'm gonna have to die a bunch of times to figure it out. But it's not like the bullets don't absorb into it, and I can't attack with the character either. And so, but the little asteroid circle guy, he was cool as shit. Like that was fun. And I got pretty far with that one, but not figure out the second guy. I'm like, all right, I'm going to play something else. And then I moved on to Minit Fun Racer after that. So
Yeah, and this game's only like $6. I might have to snag it after so because it totally looks like something I would love playing.
yeah, and I think I played like a couple of these last weekend, and then I played one today. So like some of it like I jump in, but I don't get fully engrossed, and then I kind of move on. And I mean, there was another game that I tried out on my Lenovo Legion Go, and that turned into a chore last weekend. Little small indie game called Final Fantasy VII Reverse.
Oh man. Yeah, that just recently came out on PC. Yeah.
And it overloaded my Lenovo Legion Go to the point where I had to figure out how to get into the settings and overclock all the shit or make sure it's all maximized. And then it was fine. But like you start it up and the shit was stuttered. It was fucked up. And I was like, oh no, like it doesn't work. Oh no, this is a game, never mind Lenovo. And then I was like, oh no, if I take it out of and I put it at high efficiency mode or whatever, I remove it and it worked fine. And the thing is, though, I was kind of bored. I don't know. It was too easy. Like I don't know if I gotta like it's because I put the shit out of the original. It was awesome.
I was gonna say I wasn't a big fan of Rebirth, so I'm the worst person to talk to because I know a lot of people loved it, and I don't think it's like a bad game. It just wasn't my kind of game. Like it was.
Well, I had played the original demo and I liked it because it was a reenactment of when Sephiroth and Cloud went through the canyon, which was cool. But I had to replay that again. So well, because I played it on pace, so I planned it. So I played third again, and I'm like, this is okay. And so then I finally got to the first town. I'm like, okay, now I'm kind of bored. Um, but I was kind of like bored, and so I was like, all right, now I got to go around the town and got to talk to everyone, do all the little side, and it's like there's so much to do. Like so, as a Final Fantasy VII like nostalgic fiend that I am, that was high school for me, my old ass. It was cool as shit. It was cool as shit playing the original. Like it was so awesome playing through Midgar and doing all the stuff. Now it's like maybe I'm just too old, or maybe I just need a palate because maybe I use that as my palate cleanser.
Yeah.
I don't know. Or I just play it on PlayStation. The problem is I never opened my limited edition that I got. So like, and I'm like, at this point, do I just keep it sealed? It's because I got it on PC, so it's like, yeah, man, choices. But that's not even indie, you know what I mean? So it's like that. It kind of took a while for me to mess around with all the settings. But we did have a community pick recommended to us, by the way. And it was recommended on the latest community picks indie gaming gems. It was from Quill Pig Gaming on YouTube. Said if you're looking for a kind of recent hidden gem, Baldo the Guardian Owls is a good one. So Baldo the Guardian Owls, I was definitely aware of, but I didn't like it because it was all janky. It was crappy. He said, though, had a rocky release with bugs everywhere, got terrible ratings because of it, but they fixed it all.
Ooh.
And added a free DLC for everyone. So it's like Studio Ghibli, your amazing artwork with Zelda-like gameplay. Like, are you effing kidding me?
Yeah.
Because remember, there's those games that you had the 1 and 2 that were the RPG, that were the Studio Ghibli RPG. I'm saying, yeah, I was Xander scrambling. I couldn't remember. Yeah, the Ni no Kuni games. Well, this game looked like that, but Zelda, and I played it and it was janky, and I put it away. But here's the thing, Quilpid Gaming, thank you, because now my butt's going to go back, probably get it on a Steam or something. and just give it a whirl again. Now I know Baldo, not really indie, definitely has a physical, like all that stuff. Like not as indie as the crazy shit that we talk about here, like your Asterogues. But I think that's an awesome one because they had fixed the stuff. When the developer goes and puts forth the effort, that's what really turns me on, Mean Gene.
I mean, it's true though, because I mean, like, there's probably people that are listening to the show that had the same experience that you did, and they're like, "Oh, they fixed it." Well, and this is the first time I've heard of it, and I'm just like, "Wow, this looks exactly what I mean." Ni no Kuni was the game that made me buy a PS3, so I love Studio Ghibli stuff. So
the fact that you didn't know that Baldo and the Guardian Owls like existed,
I had no idea,
and now it's like optimal. Like,
yeah,
come on,
that's time for someone like me to jump into it. You know,
I just gave Xander a late Christmas present.
two games, this episode,
and by I mean Quill Pig Gaming on YouTube gave us a Christmas present.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Quill Pig always likes to comment on the Indie Gaming Gems videos, but that popped in right before we recorded. I'm like, oh no, we got to talk about that because that's freaking cool that they updated it. The fact that they updated it means that we got to give a shout out to, Baldo, because I remember that when that came out, I think it was a crowdfunding game, and I was super excited for it. And now it's like it got bad reviews, but now it's fixed. And there's so many games that I remember Cyberpunk was playable when it was released, and I played it now on the Legion Go, and it's great. Like it's Grand Theft Auto in the future, and no time, so I never played it more than my 15 minutes of fame. But like, there's a lot of games like that nowadays, and if we ever have infinite time and my thumbs don't have arthritis in them, great. Real great.
You mentioned a game that you were no, is this part of the Over Horizon?
Which one is this?
Because I'm looking at the docket and you were talking about this Xbox 360 game that I do remember that I forgot all about. I still have it on my 360.
Forgot about it, and they just remastered it.
Yeah,
Steam. Yeah, so you're talking about Breath of Death VII.
Yeah, it was a turn-based RPG, correct?
Yeah. Fast-paced, supernatural, turn-based RPG. Well, now, because that was like NES RPGs, right? This one is like freaking 16-bit. Like they took it, they upgraded it to 1632-bit. It looks fucking amazing. And oh my god, it looks so good now.
Yeah, because that was one of those early Xbox 360 arcade games, like when you had your, Meat Boy and Limbo, and you had those games come out.
Like the graphics just look so amazing now.
Yeah, it looks like a PS1 RPG.
Yeah, like it's like Super Nintendo PS1, and it's right in the under $5 to buy the resurrected. And then they're doing small patches. They just they did a patch this last month. But yeah, it's called The Beginning Remastered, so I assume that they're going to continue doing more. Maybe they only did a portion of it, but it's $5, man. Like super cool. Yeah, you get undead heroes when you do Breath of Death. Like I remember I had it on my 360 as well. 15 minutes to famed it back in the day. Like I played a little bit and never really played it.
Yeah.
Like as I evolve as a gamer, like RPGs just aren't something that I jump into unless it's something like that drags me in.
That's a very like commitment driven genre. Like you can't just casually play like a Dragon Quest game unless you've played it numerous times. Just getting into it, like, yeah.
Well, it's funny is like we got the in February Taji 100, which is 100 miles in February, and years back I was playing Dragon Quest 11. And I would take my dog for a walk to get in extra miles, and I would be doing grinding on the Switch while I was walking. Just like walking around and grinding and hitting the button as I'm going so I don't have to pay attention. Then when I got home, I'd play through. I still only played the first act and fell real love of Dragon Quest Live, and it's amazing. Like it's that first act is like a full. I played it 60 hours or something. It was a full RPG.
Oh yeah.
And I have not went to. I don't know if there's 2 acts or 3 acts in the whole game, but it is huge. And that game is excellent. But like, I love the Dragon Quest series. I love all of them, like Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, all that stuff. But I just don't have the capacity to play it because I mean I enjoy making my books. I enjoy doing the fight. I enjoy doing all the stuff. It's just that the sacrifice is, well, I can't just go disappear for months.
Yeah.
Like we could just pause everything and just jump in. But
Sorry, guys.
I enjoy it. I enjoy doing stuff too. So it would be like when Yakuza Hawaii comes out, you just disappear for a while.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I haven't really committed to anything. Like, because you were mentioning how like RPGs is like that kind of genre. There's games I'm like, yeah, I'm not even going to touch that because I know I wouldn't be able to finish it if I don't beat it before, Yakuza in Hawaii. The new Majima game.
Crazy. And I've never played one of those because of that.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I've probably played 15 minutes of one or two of them, but like to me, and this is like me very overgeneralizing them, the Yakuza games are what I wanted Shenmue to be.
Yeah, you're
Basically.
pretty much right with that. Cause I even went back and tried to play Shenmue after playing, all these Yakuza games. I'm like, oh, I can't do it.
And it's the mistake of doing Shenmue 3 after Yakuza games and didn't like modernize it. So they made classic Shenmue. And it's like, oh man, it's just because Yakuza just does you do everything. You fucking go there and dance if you want and do anything. And it's like, it's a never ending, awesome ass Japanese simulator. And I, again, need infinite time in the day because I would love to play them all.
Yeah, because all the games, like all the games connect. Like it's almost like watching your favorites like series, like starting with season 1, because the characters grow up as each game comes out. Like you start off with, you got the little girl, she's like a little girl in the first game, and by the time they get to 6, she's like already having a kid. So yeah, it's nuts. Good freaking series, man. We're delighted.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with like all those big series, like your Uncharted's and all, like more games I would love to play more of. 15 Minutes of Fame, the remaster collection. It was cool shit. It was like playing Indiana Jones, but no time.
Now, this is interesting because this game kind of falls into what we were just talking about with Baldo, because it has a very similar aesthetic to it, and this is right up my alley. Mika and the Witch's Mountain.
Oh yeah, Mika. Dude, that one is like, it's just a cozy exploration game.
It looks great.
Dude, it's like flying around in your broom. Go fly around in your broom, Zach. How it's like, it just looks cool as hell. Cause there was that action platformer we talked about the previous episodes, one or two episodes ago. And that game was fun as shit. And this game looks right up the same alley of it. And it's super positive reviews. It's just like you just deliver packages. Like,
Yeah.
dude, it looks so cool. And there's like little abilities and items, and it just looks fun. Like I don't know, man. Like to me, this looks like a decompression game.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
maybe jump in, play a little bit. I know I have it in my list to play for sure, like my backlog. Like this is a game that just looks like amazing.
And it looks like it's on it's on consoles. I'm currently looking at it on Steam right now. As of we're recording, it's 30% off. I mean, it's normally like a $20 game, but right now, it is less than 20, and it's probably a game that goes on sale frequently. So,
Well, it's only been out a week at the time of this recording. So,
oh wow, so it just came out. It's crazy.
well, and there's now here's the thing. There is a Chibig. So Chibig is the developer. There's a Chibig universe of games. And so some of these games I actually have or I have covered. There's a game called Ancora: The Lost Days. There's Koa in the Five Pirates, which is literally the platformer we talked about 1 or 2 episodes ago. They literally, the same developer made that awesome ass platformer I've been playing.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they also played a D-Land Pocket Planet, which is another farming adventure game. And then Stories of Mara, which is another awesome ass game. And then Summer in Mara. And so like they have definitely a graphical style with like cutesy characters and stuff. And then they're that platformer. So if Mika plays just like Koa does, holy shit, that game is tight, fun as hell. Like dials things in for Mario 64 just perfectly. So now you gotta do it with like a little bit of a delivery cozy style aspect. Like, come on, man. Dude, this developer is awesome. Big.
I have to check. I need to check more of that stuff out because that is totally in my alley. Like I was
Freaking
like,
rabbits, man. That's the thing with indie games, man, is you get this rabbit hole of, all right, so this developer's cool. Well, now I got 6 games right there that could just draw us in for the rest of 2025. I don't.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Man, let's quit our jobs, Xander. We got to keep split.
Sure, like I'm just gonna quit my job because I need to like play a game about delivering packages as a witch. That's what I got to do. That's my thing.
Exactly. Go live on the street somewhere that's in vicinity of some internet so I can get internet connectivity and power. That's all I need. Play there.
And going from that cutesiness to something completely opposite that still looks really, really dope. And that's Mark of the Deep. This looks really cool. It's like another top-down slashing kind of game, yeah.
And it's an action adventure game, like a Souls-like Metroidvania action adventure game. I mean, to me, it has a lot of vibes of the Hades.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking of Hades when I saw it.
Especially with like the little characters talking to you, where they have like the little artsy profiles look a lot like Hades, which is a good thing. And then there's like, it looks like there's lots of little like boss fights and stuff too. So I'm not sure if like, because it kind of looks like it might roll like level by, we go like section by section, like in Hades, clear all the enemies and then move on to the next section. And maybe there's a boss fight every once in a while. This might just be a spiritual successor or a inspired by Hades. Smartly, they put a thrilling mix of Metroidvania and Souls-like elements in the description because you should put all of those buzzwords to get people excited.
Yeah.
And you get Mad Mimic.
Yeah, and you can download the demo too. I'm looking at it on Steam at the moment, and there is a demo. So I was trying to see. I mean, because it's got like a 7 out of 10. So it's it's a game that go into it with an open mind. I mean, it may not click with you, it might click. It still looks
now
really good.
Of course, doing what we just did with the last game, clicking on the developers page, they also have 6 more games.
Oh wow.
There's No Heroes Here, which is a frantic co-op game. There is Monica y Agadio dos Coleos, a couch co-op game. Dandy Ace, which is an over-the-top action game. I'm gonna click on that.
Yeah, that one grabbed my attention right there.
Let's see what Dandy Ace has in store for us, Xander. Holy shit. Another game that looks like an amazing, inspired by Hades action adventure game. Like, so yeah, these developers, man, we gotta stop that rabbit hole right now. That's crazy shit. Like, we're about to have 27 million games here to play. Like, geez. Like, because just imagine if we go to every single game that I'm finding, then we go down second level. The developer.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. I already have like 3 games. I already have like 3 games that I'm probably gonna buy after we're recording right now.
Sheesh. And it's like that game, like, and the thing is, what I didn't do, which I need to do, is add to wish list. Because I allow, and this is something that I would recommend for everybody to do, is I allow the wish list to drive my purchases when I have thousands of games. So I don't see the wish list here. Is it maybe because I'm not logged in? Maybe somehow. I don't know. But either way, I will after. But I let the wish list dictate it. So when I go to the wish lists, I then sort by cheapest and I find those that are on sale. And those are the ones that I will purchase. And I look at it about once a week. I'll look at them. If it's under $2, auto buy. Like, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But then if we're talking about something, I'm gonna support it as well because there's 60,000 games coming out a year. I can't buy them all full price. I can try, but like again, we'd have to like work 3 jobs to buy some indie games.
And we can't work 3 jobs if we want to play all the indie games either. It's just doesn't work.
I just make a second indie gaming jams book just to fund my indie gaming obsession. Like it's wild.
In this last game, like it just looks nuts. I'm trying to wrap my head around it because this doesn't look like an indie game.
It's $40, so like it is not cheap. It just came out like days before this recording. I'm looking at the studio. This is all they've ever released.
Wow.
They are the definition of, at least, I don't know who makes up this company of Yellow Brick Games, but like, I don't know, this is the only game they've released. It's very positive. The game looks freaking amazing. Like Skyrim, freaking Dark Souls, like crazy. Like honestly, almost like Shadow of the Beast. I think that's it's not Shadow of the Beast that I'm thinking of. Thinking of the one with the giant enemies that
Shadow of the Colossus?
Shadow of the Colossus kind of has that because they show a spot where you're like climbing on a boss's head because it's so big. I mean, like literally Colossus, like crazy ass giant bosses and stuff. Like this game looks amazing.
Eternal Strands.
Eternal Strains or Eternal Strands?
Probably Strands. You're going to be, the only straining is going to be your eyes with all the enjoyment and graphics that you're going to be experiencing.
And I will tell you, and this is where this gets us, this is where they hook us. There is a free prologue demo.
Oh, nice.
So we can play the prologue, and then if we dig the prologue, well, now do we want to spend the $40 for a game? Because this game looks freaking huge.
Yeah,
like this, it triple A indie, triple I. There we go. We got our own.
Yeah,
we got our first triple I of 2025 is Eternal Strands by Yellow Brick Games.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, I think but folks that love like that medieval like fantasy, like this is right up your alley. Like it looks really
even a little steampunk in there with a modernization. But there's lots of bright like magics going around, which looks so fun.
Yeah,
dude. Like Eternal Strands just looks like that one. Like I usually try to throw about 3 games, but I was like, I saw that pop up like a couple days ago, and I'm like, nope, that's going on the damn list because this looks like a freaking masterpiece. Like that might be indie game of 2025 material in January.
That's nuts. It's crazy. That is crazy,
dude. So good.
Well,
now it makes me want to go play it.
I was gonna say, I think this is gonna wrap up an episode because I think we got some games to check out. Well, at least I do. Like I
got some books to ship out.
Which, by the way, if you guys want to stay up to date on the book releases and the podcast of all sorts indie gaming gems, be sure to check out Jeffrey Windhagen's Patreon. It's free to join, and we do have exclusive producers that we shout out at the end of every episode, which we're going to do right now because of their support.
Yeah, and they're executive producers, Xander Scramble.
Yes, even better.
Exclusive executives. So Akriloth is the first one.
Then we got good old Burner Turner.
And then David Isherwood from over the other side of the pond.
And a big shout to Lunchbox, aka the Disgruntled Gamer from the Thunderdome, because I remember he's an early listener because he's the one that was telling us about Night Slasher and did a really good review of it. And it made me want to go back and play because some of the things I didn't like about the remake, he kind of brought to my attention. So thank you so much, man. And thank you so much for the support as well.
Lunchbox is good people and appreciate the support. I know we are starting, or I'm creating crazy shit at the house now. So I've been working on these slate coasters and crazy fun. I'll do one for Indie Credible so I can show off in the upcoming weeks here because it doesn't take too long. I just got to get our logo to look right when it does the reverse etching and everything. But every quarter, the producers are going to be getting a cool item every quarter. The executive producer, besides we're getting a shout out, get the cool item. But then I'm also going to be making a custom wooden book cover. And they can choose the book. I didn't do a wooden book cover. This, if people want the Genesis book, I'll do a wooden book cover. If they want me to bust out, I never did a wooden book cover for the complete NES. If they want the complete NES, a wooden book cover of it, like they get to choose the executive producers. So you have to back at that. You have to support at that tier. And then, of course, if somebody like the last a month decides to go to the tier, like I'll chat with them. But basically, because those are going to be expensive to make, but it's going to be super cool. I'm going to hand assemble them. And
oh, yeah.
It's going to be fun as shit. So, appreciate the support. Definitely helps with basically all the Patreon supporters. It's going to go to help with the storage fees for all these damn books. I have over 3,000 books in storage at this point. That's ones, besides for the tens and tens of thousands I've sold, like being able to have some books on hand for people to, with that, just find out about what I'm doing and what we're doing and be able to experience it is awesome. But the storage does cost every month. So that is actually what this actually helps is, helps me continue to make more while not having to worry about like, oh, I got to push sales on the website so I can afford to store the books. Like now the Patreon 100% helps that.
I was about to say, I think anyone who's listening that collects video games in some capacity, we all know space is our enemy. Whether it's, a bookshelf full of video games or a garage full of pallets of books, space is our enemy. We love physical, but physical takes space.
Oh, I mean, and like I've hit milestones. Like I have over 30 releases at this point for books. And one book release will take up my garage. And I have 30. I have and for unique titles, I'm over 20. Like 30 is like if I do a paperback and a hardcover and like all the different things. And I don't count the slipcases or anything special like that as part of that. But yeah, dude, it's a lot of space, and I'd like to order more. So when I get support, and I'll order extra copies and extra quantity, so I can go to conventions and bring them and introduce more people and share the love of gaming and collecting with everyone. It's been awesome, but it's also a lot of space.
Indeed. And hopefully you guys have space in your hard drives after listening to another episode of the Indie Credible podcast, because we're always talking about some new indie games every week, extending our backlogs and adding some weight to you guys as well. But anyway, woo!
And I thought I was all alone drinking tequila. Thank you, everyone, for checking out this episode of Indie Credible. There we go. Make sure you follow us. We have lots of stuff going on every week on YouTube on Fridays, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you check out Indie Gaming Gems. That is the structured review / preview series about 10 indie games you may not have heard of.
And you can check me out, Xander Scullion, across the board. I kept it real simple for you guys. You can check me out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram And, on my channel, I cover a little series called Play and Tell, where I talk about games I've been playing, leave little short impressions, mini reviews, and most importantly, when you walk away, you have something new to play. So you can check out my Play and Tell series. I also have some reviews that I put out every once in a while, and a live stream, which I'm really trying to commit and have a dedicated schedule. So that's more important that you hit the bell so you're notified whenever I'm live, because you never know. I might be live right now.
Yes, he's always live.
Oh,
Always. And then, of course, I have all of my books at HagensAlley.com. You could check out. I've had like dozens of books published. I try to upload and keep things up to date with the latest reviews, the latest books up there, but they have to be in hand. So if you follow me on social medias, you'll see when the newest Kickstarter goes live, the backer kit goes live, the newest crowdfunding thing is going live. And as soon as you become a backer, there's updates that go out all the time. So we're always working on new books and new series and new things. Of course, upcoming, coordinated with this podcast, will be Indie Gaming Gems, which will be coming out next year sometime. It'll be fun time here for us in the indie gaming world.